Hi friends. So today I wanted to discuss about the recently conducted CET examination of Karnataka Examination Authority KCET 2020, and I am discussing today about the biology paper. So this year's paper was moderate. There were some tough questions, easy questions, some questions, the conceptual part of it, there was a repetition, but they had reframed the question part of it. So one or two ambiguous questions were also there in this particular paper. So I am Dr. Ravi, lecturer in biology. So I have 21 years of teaching experience and guiding students into uh, the medical stream and other courses, agricultural courses and veterinary science. So that is about myself. My channel is youtube.com/c/biology tutor neat. Okay, so you can log on to this YouTube channel, subscribe for this, and press the bell icon to receive the regular notifications. So whenever a new video is added, you'll be getting the notification in your website. If you have benefited from this channel, please share it with your friends and ask them also to subscribe to this channel. And I also thank all the viewers who have continuously encouraged me to provide you more such contents. And I also would like to have a disclaimer. See, all these answers are thoroughly checked in case of any typographical or other errors, inadvertent errors, or sometimes slip of tongue. So I kindly request you to cross check with your NCRT book the answers. If error is noticed from our end, well, what I'm doing is we are putting it as errata in the description box with the correct answers and the question number. Okay, so best wishes for your KCET and NEET preparation. I also suggest to the viewers to also subscribe for this and watch this neat uh, biology videos also of 5 years. See, if you have to get thoroughly well versed into a competitive examination, so don't restrict yourself. I'm just writing a Karnataka CET and I will not be studying the neat question papers. That is not beneficial for you. Get exposed to wide variety of questions. So nearly around 7 papers of KCET is there. So nearly 400 to 420 questions have been solved. KCET question paper. NEET around 4 papers are there. So you have nearly in this channel the solved question papers of competitive examination. Nearly 900 to 950 questions are available. So this itself, the training and getting exposed to the question paper would help you a lot in facing the um, competitive examination. Many of the students, they ask me, sir, will it be sufficient if I just practice this question papers? I won't say that it is sufficient. These question papers, it helps you to understand the type of questions that they frame. It also checks your level of preparation, and many times these questions, concept wise, there is a repetition might be there, but they reframe the questions. So that is one thing that you should be prepared for. So make the best use of this channel to get well prepared for your competitive examination. So there are also some mock CET question papers that I have solved. And in the description box, I would be sharing all those links. So you can press on to those links and visit those uh, question papers and go through them. So watch the video completely. See, competitive examinations, you have to watch that. And I am not explaining for those questions where the answers are easy. It is memory based. I'm not giving an explanation there. Where the conceptual wise it is difficult, I'm giving an explanation there. So kindly remember about it and continue watching the video completely. So for all those students who have already taken your KCET examination, so this would be a cross check of what you have written and whether the answers are right or wrong. Okay, so I've put up this paper before the KEA examination Authority, that is Karnataka Examination Authority, has put forth its answer key. So I'm solving this paper earlier to that and giving you the KCET 2020. So best wishes students, and watch the video for the complete video for the uh, solved questions of KCET 2020. So this year, as I told you, the paper was quite moderate and you have 60 questions. So remember, 60 questions, you have 60 minutes, even though 10 minutes additional is there, that you might be utilizing it for shading and writing it. Never mark on the question papers, because if you mark on the question paper, you will be, it will be considered as a malpractice. There is no possibility of copying, because there would be 16 different version of question papers that you'll be getting, like A1, A2, A3, A4, B1, B2, B3, B4. So the questions would be jumbled up. So in no single question paper, the questions are in the same series, except in the same version code. So keep that in mind. And those questions which sound very easy, so read it twice. Okay, don't spend more than 1 minute. And if you find certain questions are very tough, so what you can do is you can solve it at the end of the session. So just move on with the other questions and solve it. Okay, so utilize your time productively. So let us begin with this first question of this KCET 2020. So when Escherichia coli cells are cultured in a medium where lactose is absent. So this is the switching off mechanism that they are talking about. The I gene of lac operon continues to produce repressor mRNA, because I gene is a constitutive gene. So it goes on producing the repressor mRNA, even though the lactose is absent. So the reason for that I gene to produce this repressor mRNA is it is a constitutive gene. That is the answer. It is not an operator gene or a structural gene or a non-coding gene. So I gene is a constitutive gene. The second question that they have asked is for the sequence. Before that, I'll also solve it row wise so that it would be easy. So the fifth question that they have here is injection of an antidote against snake bite is an example of passive immunity. So this antidote is introduced from the outside, so the antibodies, so it is not produced by the body. So we call this sort of external antibodies being introduced into our body, we call that as passive immunity. It is not innate immunity, it is not from birth or self immunity, or is it, it is not active immunity, it is passive immunity. It is an example of a passive immunity. That is, injection of an antidote against snake bite is an example of passive immunity. So the second question is for the given sequence of DNA, identify the complementary sequence of bases on its mRNA, complementary sequence of bases on its mRNA from the options given below. So DNA, it is from 3 prime to 5 prime. So the synthesis of mRNA would be from 5 prime to 3 prime. You have that complementary sequence will be in 5 prime to 3 prime. It is a complementary sequence. Okay, so ATG, so mRNA implies, so it would be complementary means, so A would be the complementary of adenine is going to be uracil. We are not having thymine in mRNA. So wherever T is there, you have to write it as A, and wherever A is there, you have to replace it by U. Wherever G is there, you have to replace it by C. Wherever C is there, you have to replace it by G. Uh, so that is what is the complementary sequences. So for the complementary sequence for 3 prime to 5 prime will be from 5 prime to 3 prime. So A complementary of that is U. So T, since it is mRNA, it would be U. They don't have thymine, they would be having uracil. So T complementary is A, G complementary is C, C complementary is G, A complementary is U, T complementary is A, G complementary is C, C complementary is G, and A complementary is U, T complementary is A, G complementary is C, and C complementary is G. So 5 prime complementary is 3 prime. So you can see that the D is the right answer for this question. So this is the complementary mRNA sequence. So adenine will be its complementary is uracil, thymines complementary is adenine, um, the guanine complementary is cytosine, cytosine complementary is guanine. Using this, the answer has been obtained. D is 5 prime to 3 prime direction it would be, because the DNA is from 3 prime to 5 prime. So its complementary sequence will be in 5 prime to 3 prime. Okay. Then sixth one, certain tumors are called malignant because they invade and damage the surrounding tissues. They show contact inhibition. They are not neoplastic. They are confined to specific locations. These are all the wrong choices. Malignant means it spreads. Benign means it is localized. So the certain tumors are called malignant because they invade and damage the surrounding tissues. So the third question that you have is, which among the following was the biggest land dinosaur? Okay, so the Tyrannosaurus rex is the biggest dinosaur, land dinosaur, terrestrial dinosaur. See, this sort of question should not be asked. Okay, so it is more of general knowledge oriented, and I don't know whether in any of your NCRT books they are mentioning this. So, but anyway, this question was out of the box, I felt. So, which among the following was the biggest land dinosaur? The answer is Tyrannosaurus rex. The transport of which neurotransmitter is interfered by cocaine? So the neurotransmitter which is interfered by cocaine is dopamine. So dopamine is going to be interfered by this cocaine. So remember about the neurotransmitter which is affected or interfered is dopamine. Okay. In a population of plants, some were extremely tall and the remaining were extremely dwarf. No plants of the population showed intermediate height. The type of operation of natural selection in the above cases. So if there are no intermediate heights and there are two extremities, the type of operation of natural selection in the above cases disruptive natural selection. So it is not directional, stabilizing, or balancing. It is disruptive type of natural selection. So the answer is disruptive. So in the eighth one, in the life cycle of Plasmodium, fertilization takes place in the gut of mosquito, that is stomach of mosquito. So fertilization takes place in the stomach of mosquito. It's not in the RBCs of mosquito, liver cells, or salivary glands of mosquito. It is in the gut of mosquito or stomach of mosquito. So ninth one, white rust resistant variety of Brassica is Pusa swarnim. So Pusa swarnim is the white rust disease resistant variety of Brassica is Pusa swarnim. So since this is a memory oriented question, so there is no need to discuss about the other choices. So white rust resistant variety of Brassica is Pusa swarnim. So in 13th one, in sewage treatment, secondary treatment is considered highly significant because it reduces the biochemical oxygen demand level of sewage, because the organic nutrients and other things are being removed. In the sewage treatment, secondary treatment is considered highly significant because it reduces the biochemical oxygen demand level of sewage. So that is the reason A is the answer for 13th one. So secondary treatment in sewage treatment is highly significant because it reduces the BOD level of sewage. Which of the following plant tissues cannot be used as explant in tissue culture? So we cannot use sclerenchyma because it is a dead tissue and they do not multiply. Almost all the plant cells have this totipotency. That is, they have an ability to form a complete plant. So that totipotency is there. But sclerenchyma, since it's a dead tissue, we cannot use it as an explant in tissue culture. So 10th one, B is the answer, sclerenchyma. So 11th one, the hybridization between naturally compatible, incompatible plants, like two different species they are, Solanum tuberosum and Lycopersicon esculentum, potato and tomato, we can achieve through The hybridization between naturally incompatible plants like potato and tomato. We obtain tomato plant. It can be achieved through the somatic hybridization, where there is a fusion of this protoplasm under high electric frequency. So they are fused. This protoplasm of potato and tomato are fused under high electric frequency, or uh, in case of the monoclonal antibodies, the fusion would be in presence of PEG, polyethylene glycol, polyethyl glycol. That is in case of monoclonal antibodies, which is almost similar to somatic hybridization in plants. So somatic hybridization is the answer, where two different species protoplasm are fused under high electric frequency. They are fused. So somatic hybridization is the answer for 11th one. 14th one, ruminant animals can digest cellulose in their food, whereas ruminant animals are herbivores like cattle, buffaloes. So they are all able to digest cellulose in their food, whereas human beings are unable to do so. This is because why we are not able to digest cellulose is methanogens, the bacteria which digests the cellulose, the methanogens are absent in the human gut, because of which we are not able to digest cellulose. This is the answer. So methanogens are absent in human gut. See, a chili plant was severely infected. 12th question, a chili plant was severely infected with chili mosaic virus, CMV. So identify the technique that helps to raise virus-free plants in the next generation for the above virus infected plant. So it is already infected with a disease. So in the meristem, since the rate of cell division is very high, it is much more higher than the reproduction rate of viruses. So viruses cannot infect the meristem. So meristems are continuously undifferentiated mass of rapidly dividing cells. Since their rate of cell division is much more higher than the virus replication rate, so meristems do not have the viruses in them. As a result, if you want to obtain a virus-free plants, even from a viral infected plants, you can take the meristems, apical meristems of root or stem. You can take them and cultivate them to obtain a meristem culture, which would be free from uh, viruses, and you get a virus uh, resistant plants, okay, from this meristem culture. 15th one, from the given combination of steps in PCR, PCR means polymerase chain reaction, identify the enzyme dependent steps. So which are the steps which are having the enzyme dependent steps? So you know that they consist of denaturation, annealing, and extension. So extension is the only step which involves the enzyme dependent. It is dependent on enzyme. So extension is the only step which is enzyme dependent in polymerase chain reaction. So in RNA interference, 18th question, the double-stranded RNA molecule prevents transport of RNA from nucleus to cytoplasm, translation of mRNA, amino acylation, transcription of mRNA. So RNA interference, especially in that uh, plant where silencing of genes are brought about by this double-stranded RNA molecule. Silencing of gene is they are not allowed to undergo the biological translation. Protein synthesis is not allowed. So that is brought about by the double-stranded RNA molecule. It prevents the translation of mRNA. So the silencing of mRNA, especially the infection of nematodes uh, in the plant. So it is the silencing of mRNA is brought about. So remember about this. Translation of mRNA is stopped by the double-stranded RNA molecule prevents the translation of uh, mRNA. Okay, so that is the answer for 18th. See, the biolistics method is suitable for gene transfer into plant cells because they have cell wall. So the biolistics method or gene gun, it is suitable for gene transfer into plant cells as they have the cell wall made up of cellulose. Okay, so nowadays the early diagnosis, 19th question, nowadays the early diagnosis of bacterial or viral infection in humans, it is possible using DNA sequencer, PCR, CT scan, serum analyzer. The answer is polymerase chain reaction. So this has helped in the early direction of bacterial or viral infection in humans. So PCR is one which is helping in the early detection of bacterial or viral infection in human beings. Now, 17th one, identify the labels M and N in the following agarose gel electrophoresis. So M and N. So M is the largest DNA bands which are nearer to the wells, and N is the smallest DNA bands which are away from the wells. Okay, that is what you notice, the agarose gel electrophoresis. So the largest DNA bands are nearer to the well and smallest DNA bands are away from the well. So remember about this part of it in 17th. That is the answer. B is the answer. So 21st. See, this question has been repeated in other papers also. So in the following equation of Verhulst Pearl logistic growth, the letter R denotes. So the R denotes intrinsic rate of natural increase. So it denotes intrinsic rate of natural increase. See, whenever you are studying this different question papers, including, so when you are getting prepared for CET, so also study the NEET question papers of 4 or 5 years. And when you are getting prepared for NEET, do not ignore the CET question papers. Get prepared for CET papers also. Both of them are required. So if you are exposed to wide variety of questions, uh, your chances of answering conceptually you become much more better developed, and your chances of answering the other questions are more possible. See, many of them I have seen some of them being repeated in the NEET appearing here, so vice versa. So in the following equation of Verhulst Pearl logistic growth, the letter R is intrinsic rate of natural increase. See, 22nd, the shape of the pyramid reflects the growth status of the population. Okay, identify the type of age pyramid represented below for human population. See, the first two part of it is pre-reproductive phase, then reproductive phase, then above you find the post-reproductive phase. So the type of age pyramid, now since the pre-reproductive phase is very less than the reproductive phase, so this human population pyramid is a declining pyramid for human population, because the pre-reproductive phase, the number of individuals are lesser than the reproductive phase. So this would be a declining population. Okay, C is the answer for it. So which one of the following is not included under in situ conservation? So botanical garden is not included under in situ conservation. In situ conservation is in natural habitats. So whenever we are talking about conservation in situ, we are talking about natural habitat. Sanctuary is a natural habitat. So for the animals which are conserved, biosphere reserve and national parks are natural habitats for those animals which are being conserved. Whereas a botanical garden is a not an in situ conservation, so it is ex situ conservation. So botanical garden is uh, artificial habitats. It is not a natural habitat. Okay, so this is the botanical garden is not included under in situ conservation. Then 26th question, which of the following is a wrong statement? Okay, there three statements are correct, one statement is wrong. So the first statement is greenhouse effect is a natural phenomenon. So it's a correct statement. Eutrophication is a natural phenomenon in freshwater lakes. Okay, so that is also a correct statement. Whenever the organic nutrients they are uh, going to accumulate, it leads to eutrophication. Ozone in upper part of the atmosphere is harmful to animals. So that is wrong. So most of the so the wrong statement is ozone in upper part of the atmosphere is harmful to animals. Most of the forests have been lost in tropical areas. It is a true statement. So the wrong statement is ozone in upper part of the atmosphere is harmful to animals is a wrong statement. So rather absence of ozone would be harmful because UV rays are going to enter. So presence of ozone is not harmful to the animals. So the 23rd question is identify the possible link M in the following food chain. Plant, insect, M is frog here. Frog in turn is consumed by snake. Snake in turn is consumed by the eagle. So this is the food chain, possible food chain. So M is not wolf, neither it is ichthyosis or rabbit. M is frog. So B is the answer in the food chain. M is going to be the frog. So the 24th one, the organisms which invade a bare area to initiate an ecological succession are known as a barren area to initiate an ecological succession are known as pioneer species. Answer is pioneer species. So in case of xeroxeric succession, the pioneer species is the planktons. In case of hydroxeric succession, the pioneer species is planktons. So in case of barren rocks, the pioneering species is the lichens. Okay. 27, this is a question more of general knowledge one. So current event, if you are aware of, then you would have written this properly. So according to Supreme Court of India ruling with respect to Bharat State 6 norms, from which state these are supposed to be implemented in the country. So the Bharat State 6 norms, it was to be implemented within our nation. It was implemented from 1st April 2020. There was an extension of date, and the final date was 1st April 2020. It has been implemented. Okay. Match the following classes of fungi, column 1 with the examples, column 2. See, column 1 has Phycomycetes. So the example for Phycomycetes is albugo is an example which causes white patches in brassica. Okay. Ascomycetes penicillium. It is very easy. So 2 is P, penicillium. Basidiomycetes puccinia. Yes is the answer. Deuteromycetes is alternaria. So the correct choice of this would be 1R, 2P, 3S, 4Q. So Phycomycetes is albugo, Ascomycetes is penicillium, Basidiomycetes is puccinia, Deuteromycetes is alternaria. So this correct sequence is seen in C. Okay, so the floral diagram they have given here, identify the floral unit I given in the floral diagram. So I found this to be an little ambiguous question because they have labeled one part of it as I. You can write this answer as tepal or perianth. Okay, but the answer is perianth because when we are looking into the floral formula, we use the term calyx, corolla. We don't use the term petal, sepal. So in that context, it would be in floral formula, we are using the oral name. So here they have labeled individually. So I felt it would be more of, uh, so it is ambiguous. It can be either tepal or perianth, but the answer is perianth. They have given it as the perianth is the answer for it. But individually, I felt that it could be tepal. So both are possible. So it is a little ambiguous. So they could have avoided giving this choice of tepal here, and instead, so just perianth would have been sufficient. Okay, so perianth is the answer for I. So this question is much more easier one. So here they have given the classification with P and Q. They are all absent. Observe the following simplified scheme and choose the correct option that matches with the letters given in the boxes. So vertebrata, they are divided into Agnatha without jaws, Gnathostomata with jaws. So P is Agnatha or Agnatha, whatever you pronounce it as. Q is Gnathostomata and they are bearing jaws. So they are divided into two superclass, which bears fins. Superclass Pisces, and they bear limbs. So four limbs are there. So this is the superclass Tetrapoda. So superclass Pisces and superclass Tetrapoda. So this P should be Agnatha, and Q should be Gnathostomata, R is Pisces, and S is Tetrapoda. So this is the correct answer. D is the correct answer. So the 31st question they have here, a student observes grass and hibiscus plant in his garden during noon. To his surprise, only the leaves of grass were found rolled inwards. The reason could be, so only leaves of grass were rolled inwards. Is it undifferentiated mesophyll in grass leaves? It is wrong. Presence of bulliform or motar cells in the grass leaves, they bring about the rolling up of leaf lamina. And why should the leaf lamina roll up? So that the surface area exposed for transpiration is less. You should remember in a grass leaf, they have stomata both on the upper and lower surface. So transpiration becomes more. Whereas in a dicot leaf, only the lower surface has the stomata, it is hypostomatic. Even if upper epidermis has, it would be very less. So the lower stomata has the stomata, lower epidermis has the stomata. So the transpiration wouldn't be much in case of dicot, but in monocot leaf, since both the surfaces are having stomata, the transpiration would be more. So they have a group of large colorless cells in the upper epidermis, which we call it as the bulliform cells or motor cells. So they bring about the rolling up of leaf lamina or curling of leaves, what we call it as, and that results in lesser surface area being exposed to transpiration. That is the reason the answer is presence of bulliform cells in the grass leaves is the right answer. So this is another diagram oriented question. This has also been asked in a few of the competitive examinations. So in the below diagram, identify the part which connects the peripheral microtubules to the central sheet. So the answer is radial spoke connects the peripheral microtubules to the central sheet. The answer is radial spoke. Then 35th, this has also been asked, the deficiency of which of these elements interrupts photolysis of water during photosynthesis. So it is manganese and chlorine. So the deficiency of these elements, they are going to interrupt the photolysis of water or breaking up of water during photosynthesis. It would be affected by the deficiency of manganese and chlorine. So mineral nutrition topic, you should remember about this, that this concept is from that. So manganese and chlorine. So 36th in C4 plant, C3 cycle takes place or Kelvin cycle takes place in bundle sheet cells. C4 cycle is taking place in the mesophyll cells. So bundle sheet cells, they have this Rubisco enzyme. Mesophyll cells, they have this PEP carboxylase enzyme, which is responsible for the C4 plant, C4 pathway, that is Hatch and Slack pathway. It takes place in mesophyll cells. Bundle sheet cells, they have this C3 cycle because they have the enzyme Rubisco under this bundle sheet cell. So C is the answer for 36th. 33rd, the element whose percentage weight is highest in both Earth's crust and human body is oxygen. So the Earth's crust has large amount of oxygen, and even human body, the major uh, element in human body is oxygen. Okay, so 33rd B is the answer. So 37th, this was a little innovative question. And so if you know the citric acid cycle, you can write this very easily. So during citric acid cycle, the various organic acids, see, citric acid is nothing but Krebs cycle in respiration. The various organic acid, they undergo decarboxylation. Which of the following organic acids of the above cycle have 4 carbon, 5 carbon, and 6 carbon respectively? So the answer is succinic acid, alpha ketoglutaric acid, and citric acid. See, 4 carbon is succinic acid. In the same sequence, I'm saying it about alpha ketoglutaric acid is 5 carbon, Citric acid is 6 carbon. So this is the right option, whereas they're all mismatched and wrong combinations in the other choices. So identify the event in meiosis mediated by the enzyme recombinase. So recombinations are taking place during crossing over. So the event in crossing over event in meiosis is mediated by the enzyme recombinase. So B is the answer. So 38 question. So you have consider the following statements regarding photosynthesis and respiration in plants and select the correct option. Rubisco has high affinity to oxygen in low carbon dioxide concentration. So this is a right statement. Rubisco has high affinity to oxygen whenever carbon dioxide concentration is low. So the Kelvin pathway occurs in the chloroplast of bundle sheath cells of C4 plants. This is okay. So this is also a right statement. It takes place in the bundle sheath cells of C4 plants. Yeast poison themselves when the concentration of alcohol reaches 7%. So this is wrong statement. Oxygen is final hydrogen acceptor during aerobic respiration. See, of all these combinations, they have given only three statements. They have skipped one statement. So we should not worry about that. See here, the correct statements are 1, 2, and 4. But 2, if they have not mentioned, it should not matter. See, 1, 2, and 4, and the wrong statement should be there. Correct wrong statement. So third is the wrong statement. So statements 1 and 4 are correct. Third is the wrong, is the best option available, and it is the most appropriate. Even though we are not discussing about the second option, which is also correct. Okay, since the answer that they have given is statements 1 and 4 are correct, third is wrong, we'll choose this one. So, but you should also remember even second statement is correct. Okay, so this is the type of question that you have here. So where the best options of the four statements, the correct options of it we had to write. Statements 1 and 4 are correct. Third statement is wrong. So match the different types of leukocytes, column 1 with column 2 in a healthy adult human and choose the correct answer. See, neutrophils are maximum in distribution. So always neutrophils Q60 to 65%. Lymphocytes are next in distribution. So 20 to 25%. So 2 is T. So if you have this neutrophils Q, 1Q, 2T. So 1Q, 2T, you have two options. Third one, monocytes. So 6 to 8% is monocytes. So if first three statements, if you know, the other things are easier. So basophils are lesser in concentration. So basophils are lesser when compared to eosinophils. So basophils are 0.5 to 1%. Eosinophils is 2 to 3%. So neutrophils is the highest, 60 to 65%. Second highest is lymphocytes, which is 20 to 25%. Third highest is 6 to 8% in monocytes. Basophils are the lowest, so 0.5 to 1%. Eosinophils are higher than basophils, so it is 2 to 3%. So the correct option for this is C. One is Q, that is neutrophils, 60 to 65%, lymphocytes, 20 to 25%, monocytes, 6 to 8%, basophils, 0.5 to 1%, eosinophils, 2 to 3%. So this is the right choice. So C represents that. Match the digestive glands given in column 1 with their respective enzymes given in column 2 and choose the correct combination from the given options. See, column 1, pancreas, they have given it. So pancreas, you can remember about trypsin. So pancreas secretes trypsinogen. So trypsin, you can remember about pancreas. One is yes. Gastric glands, pepsin. So it's very easy, pepsin. The small intestine, they are going to secrete enterokinase. Salivary glands, the salivary amylase is also called as talin. So the salivary amylase is also called as talin. If you just remember salivary gland, talon, you could solve this question, because fourth one, the remaining are all not having R, and you know only salivary gland also, you could solve this question. Salivary gland secretes salivary amylase, which is also called as talon. Okay, so pancreatic amylase is called as amylopsin. So pancreatic lipase, we call it as uh, stiapsin. Okay, so these are terms, other names if you remember. So here it would have been helpful if you remember the other name of salivary amylase, which is called as talin. So the first one is the right choice. So pancreas, they are going to secrete the trypsin, gastric glands pepsin, small intestine secretes enterokinase, and salivary glands secrete the salivary amylase or talin. Okay, so the first one is the answer for this. Match the following. In which part of the human brain corpora quadrigemina is located? In the midbrain. So in the lower part of the midbrain, you find this corpora quadrigemina. So midbrain is the answer. 42nd here, the question is, a girl after attaining sexual maturity shows development of growing ovarian follicles, development of mammary glands, and high pitch of voice. These changes are attributed to which hormones? So these are all the primary sexual characteristics that you are, the secondary sexual characteristics that you are noticing because of this female hormone estrogen. So a girl after attaining sexual maturity shows development of growing ovarian follicles, development of mammary glands, and high pitch of voice. So the sexual characteristics, these are sexual characteristics are because of the female hormone estrogen. It is attributed to estrogen. So estrogen is the answer. So in apple, the chromosome number of gamete is 17. What is the chromosome number in its primary endosperm nucleus? Pen. Primary endosperm nucleus. That is after triple fusion. So triple fusion includes three haploid nuclei. One is the male gamete, and the other two nuclei are going to be the polar nuclei, and they are also haploid. So the in apple, the chromosome number of gamete is 17. Gametes are haploid, so 17 is there. So triple fusion includes 17 into 3. If you multiply that, you are going to get 51 as the answer. So this is the answer, 17 into 3, because primary endosperm nucleus is a product of triple fusion. So one male gamete fuses with two polar nuclei. So there are three haploid nuclei together. So primary endosperm nucleus is triploid, if you remember. So 17 into 3, 51 is the answer. So 46th, identify the mismatch. Zygote is diploid. Synergids are diploid. This is the mismatch because synergids are haploid, antipodals are haploid, polar nuclei are haploid, egg cell is haploid. So this is the mismatch. Synergids are diploid is a mismatch because synergids are haploid. See, identify the vegetative propagule M in the following. So the stem modification, see the water hyacinth spreads very rapidly in water. This is the diagram of water hyacinth. It is because of this offset. So we call it as offset in aquatic plants. So the stems, so they are going to be the vegetative propagule. So this we call it as M is nothing but offset. Offset is the answer. Identify the correct order of events in pollen pistil interaction from the options given below. So pollen pistil interaction involves the pollen grain being deposited on the stigma, then pollen tube, growth of pollen tube into where pollen germination results in formation of pollen tube grows into the style, then pollen tube grows into the ovary, and pollen tube is going to enter the ovule, and then the pollen tube is going to enter the embryo sac. Finally, it is depositing the pollen tube contents in the synergids. So this is the steps that are involved. So here, if you look into this five statements, we have to put it in correct sequence. Okay. So first, deposition of pollen grains on the stigma is the first statement. Second is the first statement. Then development of pollen tube is the second step. third step is going to be entry of pollen tube into the ovule. Fourth step is entry of pollen tube into the embryo sac. And final step is release of male gametes into the embryo sacs. So second, four, five, three, one. So this is the sequence in which the pollen pistil interaction, see order of events in pollen pistil interaction. So the right answer is A. So where the first statement is deposition of pollen grains on stigma. Second step is the orderly event is development of pollen tube. So the third step is entry of pollen tube into the ovule. Fourth step is entry of pollen tube into embryo sac. And the last step is release of male gametes into the embryo sac. This sequence is exhibited by the answer A 2, 4, 5, 3, 1. Okay. See, during an excavation of soil, pollen fossils were retrieved from deepest layer of soil. The pollen grains remained as fossils because the exine has spiny ornamentation. That is a wrong statement. So the exine has sporopollenin. Okay, the exine of pollen grains which has sporopollenin is highly resistant to enzyme action because they have sporopollenin. So this is the right answer for the pollen grains to remain as fossils because of their uh, exine being made up of sporopollenin, which is resistant to enzyme action of fungi or bacteria. So they are resistant to enzyme action. So the pollen grains are asexual reproductive structures. They are wrong statement. Intine of pollen grain is made up of pectin. It is not relevant to this explanation. So they are wrong statement here. So the correct answer for that is the pollen grains remain as fossil because the exine of pollen grain is highly resistant to enzyme action. So the 48 question match the months listed in column 1 with the organogenesis of fetus in column 2. So column 1, first month, there is the formation of heart. Second month, there is the formation of limbs and digits. So the fifth month, you find the hairs on head. Sixth month is going to be the separation of eyelids. So that correct sequence is C, where first month is heart, second month is limbs and digits. Okay, fifth month is hairs on head, sixth month is separation of eyelids. So CDBA, this right choice is seen in C option. So this is the right answer. See, when the fallopian tube is blocked at ampullary region, so the ovum fails to move from, so there is fimbriae, infundibulum, ampullum, and isthmus is there. So when ampulla is blocked, see from infundibulum, the ovum cannot move to the isthmus. So the ovum fails to move from infundibulum to isthmus. That is the answer. Okay, so if you remember the labeling of the female reproductive system, so the diagram of female reproductive system, so the ovary is going to release the ovum, it enters into uh, the fimbriae, then it enters into infundibulum. From infundibulum, they enter into ampulla. From ampulla, they enter into the isthmus. If ampulla is blocked, so the ovum fails to move from infundibulum to isthmus. That is the answer 49th. So 51st, which of the following contraceptives could be effective in avoiding pregnancy if used within 72 hours after casual unprotected intercourse? So this answer is in your book also in the NCRT. You can check it out. The progestogen estrogen combination is going to help in avoiding pregnancy if used within 72 hours. So the contraceptive which uses progestogen estrogen combination would be effective in avoiding pregnancy if used within 72 hours after the casual unprotected intercourse. So the contraceptive should contain this progestogen estrogen combination to avoid pregnancy within 72 hours after the sexual intercourse. So this is the answer. So identify the cells represented as P, Q, R, and S in the schematic representation of oogenesis shown below. Okay, so this is quite easy. Uh, so if you remember the Wu Genesis schematic representation, P represents Wugonia, so Q represents primary spermatocyte, R represents secondary spermatocyte, S represents ovum. So P is Wugonia, Q is primary oocyte, secondary oocyte, not spermatocyte. Q is primary oocyte, R is secondary oocyte, S is ovum. So that is C is the answer. P is oogonia, Q is primary oocyte, R is secondary oocyte, and S is ovum. Okay. So in this 50-second question, so choose the correct statement regarding the gift gamete intrafallopian tube transfer procedure. So zygote is collected from female donor and transferred to the fallopian tube of recipient. This is not complete, so it is uh, wrong answer because gift involves ovum transfer. It is not involvement of formation of zygote and then transfer. So both the statements A and B are wrong because it's a fertilized product. So but gift involves transfer of ova. Okay, so zygote is collected from a female donor and transferred to the uterus of recipient. This is also wrong as far as gift is concerned. So ova are collected from a female donor and are transferred to the uterus of recipient. It is not transferred to the uterus of recipient because it would be a waste. Only the fertilized zygote can get implanted on the endometrial walls of the uterus. So this is C is also wrong. So ova is collected from a female donor and are transferred to the fallopian tube to facilitate zygote formation in the recipient. So they are transferred to the fallopian tube and it should be fertilized by the sperm. So to facilitate zygote formation in the recipient. So this is the correct answer, which is the step involved in gift gamete intrafallopian. So as the name itself indicates, intrafallopian tube transfer, gamete intrafallopian tube transfer from the donor, the ova is taken and in the recipient, it is introduced into the fallopian tube so that they undergo fertilization to form zygote in the recipient. Then 53rd, this question has also been repeated. Which of the following characters was not studied by Mendel in his pea plant experiment? This is a question which has been repeated. So leaf shape is not studied by Mendel in his pea plant experiments. So 54th question, in an organism, mutation in a single gene exhibits multiple phenotypic expressions. So it exhibits multiple phenotypic expressions. Identify the underlying genetic mechanism in the above instance. It is not incomplete dominance, neither is it polygenic inheritance. It is not multiple allelism. It is pleiotropy. The answer is pleiotropy, where it exhibits multiple phenotypic expressions. So the answer is pleiotrophy. The length of DNA helix in a typical nucleosome. This is also a repeated question. So the length of DNA helix in a typical nucleosome is 200 base pairs. Okay, 58th question. Which of the following types of RNA carries amino acids towards ribosome during translation? So the tRNA is going to carry the amino acid towards ribosome during translation. mRNA is being translated. Okay, so the answer is tRNA, transfer ribose nucleic acid, tRNA. A pure breeding plant, pea plant was round with round yellow seeds was crossed with pea plant having wrinkled green seeds. On selfing of F1 hybrid of this cross, 64 progenies were obtained in F2 generation. Find out the number of F2 progenies showing non-parental characters. See, it is two gene inheritance. It is a dihybrid cross. So two gene inheritance, what you have to notice is, so they are having the phenotypic ratio after this F2 crosses 9 is to 3 is to 3 is to 1. 9 of them are going to be the uh, round yellow seeds, and one is going to be the wrinkled green seeds, the recessive. Okay, so 9 and 1, if you take out from the 16, six of them are new phenotypes not seen in the uh, parental plant. What is that new phenotype is? It would be round green seeds. three of them, and there would be wrinkled yellow seeds in the other three of them. So six of the phenotypes are not as they are seen in case of the parental phenotypes. So that is already known part of it. Now it is the progenies they have given is 64. So, but in our F2 ratio, what we have in dihybrid cross, it is 16 progenies. If it has to be 64 progeny, then 16 has to be multiplied with 4. Okay. So similarly, there are six progenies which are not having phenotype of parent. For 64, you have to multiply the 6 with 4. 6 fours are 24. So 24 progenies show non-parental characters. That is how we have derived it. So remember about it. See, 9 is to 3 is to 3 is to 1 ratio. 9 of them are going to be similar to the parental plant, like round yellow dominant character, and one is going to be wrinkled green. So remaining 3 and 3 is to 3. So they both of them are new phenotypes because one of them would be round green seeds, another would be see one would be round green seeds, another would be the uh, wrinkled yellow seed. So that sort of combination would happen. So wrinkled yellow seeds would happen. So these are new parental types, parental phenotypes. So six of them are there. So 9 is to 3 is to 3 is to 1, total is 16 progenies, in which six of them are going to be 16 progenies, only six of them are going to be new parental phenotypes, non-parental phenotypes. So if it is 64, you have to multiply it with 4 because 16 into 4 is 64. 6 into 4 is 24. So using that logic, the answer is 24 non-parental phenotypes. See, in eukaryotes, the entire base sequence of a gene do not appear in mature RNA because coding sequences are removed during processing. Introns are removed during processing. So this RNA splicing, the splicing takes place. So as a result of that, so the entire base sequence of gene do not appear in mRNA. So heterogeneous nuclear RNA, mRNA, they are going to undergo RNA splicing and introns are removed and only the coding sequences exons are retained. So that RNA splicing is taking place, because of which you don't find the entire base sequence of a gene in a mature mRNA. So that is not seen because our introns are removed during processing. That is RNA splicing takes place. So 59th B is the answer. So 56th, a man with blood group A. So this is many times it is repeated this question. A man with blood group A marries a woman having blood group B. The maximum possible blood groups among their progenies are. See, blood group A means they can be homozygous A blood group or heterozygous A blood group. Similarly, B can also be homozygous A blood group or heterozygous B blood group. So if it is homozygous A blood group, if they are crossed, we are going to get the AB blood group and O blood group. If it is homozygous A and homozygous B, we are going to get AB blood groups. Okay. So if it is heterozygous A and heterozygous B, we are going to get A blood group, B blood group, and O blood group is possible. Okay. So the maximum possible blood group among their progenies are A, B, AB, and O. So this is the answer. Suppose DNA samples collected from DNA fingerprinting analysis are less than the required quantity. Which of the following techniques is helpful to make the samples sufficient for above analysis? How do we amplify the sample? So we use this polymerase chain reaction to increase the sample, or amplification of DNA is done by polymerase chain reaction step. So the answer is PCR. Okay, so that completes our description of the KCET 2020 question paper. So it is not too tough. Interesting questions were there. Few repeated questions were there. Also, conceptually, many of the questions were within the NCERT syllabus. Only one or two questions they could have avoided, which was from general knowledge based or current event based questions were there. So that is about the analysis of our KCET 2020 biology CET paper. Okay, so thank you all. So best academic wishes, and utilize this question paper even for your NEET preparation. So it helps you to sharpen your conceptual depth. Okay, so thank you and subscribe for this channel.